All right, I haven't got time to mark this motherfucker. Here we go again. We can't hear anybody. Nobody can talk to anybody.
You guessed it, Pressure Points with your two favorite hosts. I'm D, and this is my nuts squeezing AJ. We're coming at you with Season 5, Episode 2, Frank's Come Up. We're going to be getting into some interesting non-World War II 1940s bullshit. So strap in and get ready. Find us on Instagram and Twitter at PointSoPressure.
Well, turn the fucking thing off, you dumbass.
It gets me every time.
It's so good.
Welcome back. It's another shitty Monday, but at least it's a bank holiday.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So for, everybody, most of the people in the world who still have to work, at least you get to listen to us talk for a minute.
Yeah. We're back, baby.
Also, pro tip to all those aspiring young podcasters out there, nuts are the best snack to have during a podcast. They definitely don't get lodged in your throat.
That and corn nuts. It's like eating gravel, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
They're
man.
the reason I got fake teeth.
Jesus. He does.
But not for that reason.
They're wooden.
They're hippopotamus.
He found Washington, or George Washington, Jesus. Washington's teeth on one of those auction houses, the wooden ones.
Oh, I wish.
And that's what
I don't have
AJ
a lot of money, though.
sports all the time.
You ready for this, though?
Oh, that was spicy.
That was a good one.
Not bad.
I always wait to open the drink on air because I know people hate it or love it.
I should have probably gotten some water. But it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to have to pause the recording for you to go pee.
All right. How you been?
Shit. It has been such a
Yeah,
busy week
how
at
was
school.
your first week back in school?
I learned a lot about perineal cleaning.
Oh?
Yeah,
No.
cleaning the perineum.
I'm an illiterate.
Genitals.
AJ,
I learned how to clean old people's vaginas.
Someone writes my notes for me, and it's you. And I still fuck them up. I don't
No,
know.
you use dictation.
Yeah.
You just talk.
I don't know words good.
Um,
So cleaning old genitals.
and wiping butts and bedpans and just basically I took a 1-day course on how to be a CNA so that now I can finish all the nursing
That's
stuff.
so cute. So now you finally know how to wipe your own butt.
Yeah.
Good.
But I don't need to. I got a bidet.
Yeah.
And I bring my travel
And
bidet.
a wife.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I bring my travel bidet whenever I go, which is just a spray bottle.
You better bring that tomorrow.
I don't have a spray bottle travel bidet.
Damn you. I just need a stream spray bottle. That's all you need to bring for me.
You know what? For tomorrow, you can just put your ass into the probably radio. Why can't I think of the word?
Because it's
The
late.
irradia is really late.
Because this episode will be premiering in like
2 hours. Oh,
yeah.
shit.
We're recording really late. Usually we get this done like a day before. We're getting this done hours before. Cause
That's okay.
we haven't fucking talked for like
Well, yeah. We
a
got to
while,
hang
yeah.
out.
AJ's been so busy.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
Focused on not our friendship.
I know I'm a failure. But, it's going to be really fun. We're going to a nuclear waste dump tomorrow. That's partially... Well, it is 100% true.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking bonkers. But
Hope so.
you probably won't hear about it next week.
No, you won't.
So
Not
deal
at all.
with it.
Because we're going to record next week
In about 45 minutes.
in about 45 minutes.
It's a late night, baby.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. It'll be fun. Is the TV on?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, in fact, it is, from when I showed you that trailer earlier.
Oh, weird.
It's all
I
good.
just realized it. Sorry.
It's got a glow. It's for the blue light effect, so that we'd be able to stay up
So
this
that
whole
we
time.
stay awake. So today we're going to be talking about Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
No.
It's our very first World War II episode.
Yeah, of all time.
I fooled you. It's actually Adolf's come up. No.
No.
No, so we're going to be talking about one man named Frank Olsen. AJ and I are taking a new step in this season, and we're splitting up a story. We're sharing some thoughts on some shit.
Not every episode,
Yeah,
but
not every episode
when it's appropriate.
But we're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna see how it goes mixing episodes.
If it's a big topic that really can't be covered by one person, basically. So
this should
last
be like
season
19 episodes.
Yeah.
Before we even started, we were like, God, we could do this all of this year, all of 2022,
just on
dedicated to this topic.
But, like last season, you may have noticed that every once in a while I had an episode that was an hour and a half long. I've been since convinced that we need to, cut that down. And
it's
split
not
it
the
into a
worst
couple
thing.
parts.
It's mainly just for our own mental health that.
Well, and we can produce better content, I think. We're going to try it.
Yeah.
But, if I do an hour and a half of content, but
go for it. Yeah.
I can split it into two, and I can have D cover one topic, and I cover another one as they're, that are related within there. Then we can get a much better view, I think, of the overarching story.
And then I can cut him off with content that's not just bad jokes. So
that's not true.
So here we are. So
take it away.
Quick little background on Mr. Frank Olsen. He was born to Swedish immigrant parents in good old Wisconsin.
Not as nice.
Yeah, right? He went to the University of Wisconsin. Kind of nice, so mostly okay-o nice.
Okay-o nice.
Okay-o nice. He got his Bachelor of Science in 1938, followed up by a PhD in bacteriology.
Oh God, bacteriology.
This is what the
Why can't I
episode
say
is.
that?
It's us trying
I'm
to figure out
so
how to pronounce
tired.
bacteriology. And biochemistry. Now, married his college sweetheart, as everyone would dream, right?
I mean, in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and they had 3 kids, 3 beautiful children.
I assume.
And he joined the Army to pay off tuition. Wow,
that sounds really familiar.
Yeah. Now, he served in World War II. And I'm not kidding. This is a real thing. We're touching on World War II.
Barely,
just
though. Don't worry.
Titch. Served in World War II, but not really the way that you would expect most people to have served in the war. He actually became a captain of the Army Chemical Corps. So,
all right.
Quite a different approach. Thank you for chewing that nut, for busting that nut away from the mic. So at this point, a man by the name of Ira Baldwin had reached out to Frank. Now, Ira had previously worked at the University of Wisconsin. He was Frank's old thesis advisor. He had been a professor of bacteriology at UW. Yeah, I called it that. I don't give a fuck.
Fuck you.
And in 1943, Ira was recruited by the U.S. government. There was word at the time.
And then when did he start his podcast? This American Life.
Yeah.
By Ira Glass.
And he gave birth to the Baldwin brothers, which is actually what this episode is on.
Ira Glass Baldwin, yeah.
Yeah.
Bet you didn't know that was his full name.
His son Alec Baldwin is the subject
Recently
of
shot
today's
somebody.
show. So, 1943, like I said, recruited by the U.S. government, and there was word going around that Germany and Japan were working on biological warfare. Surprise, surprise.
I think that's pretty well known that they were during World War II.
Yeah. So, Ira, during this meeting with a lot of, I don't want to say execs, but a lot of like big
government
execs, he said if you could do it in a test tube, you could do it in a 10,000-gallon tank. If you can get enough tanks, I'm sure you can get tons. And he was asked to lead the operation of creating a fucking biological weapon.
I thought you were going to say, and he was asked to leave.
No. God, no. It's 1943. You think they would ask someone with that quote to leave the room? He would say that and they'd be like, please keep talking, sir. So they ask Ira to lead this biological warfare committee, more or less. And he says, I need to take my time to decide. I don't want to like, jump the gun on anything. So the next day, he reached out and he said, he accepted, obviously, and he said, you start out with the idea of war of killing people. And that, to me, is the immoral part of it. It doesn't make much difference how you kill them, which I don't agree with at all. Because there are definitely some really fucking immoral ways of killing people.
Yeah, like...
Obviously, killing people is, like, top
pretty bad.
Immoral. And then there's a higher level of slowly killing people with...
Agent Orange.
Bacterial.
White phosphorus.
Fucking...
Bacterial warfare. Mustard gas. I'd say pulling out
all the
teeth
same.
one by one until they bleed out.
All on the same level as abortion.
Just shooting somebody.
Ira feels that the biological warfare and abortion are on the same level in Ira's eyes. Not mine, but Ira just says, hey, if something's
Killing's
dead...
killing.
If
doesn't matter how it got there.
Killing is killing. I'm Ira Baldwin, and you can take that to the bank. So this man's a gem, if you can tell.
So he's very much an ends justify the means kind of character. You know, I knowing part of the story,
he fits into World War II pretty well.
We fit into a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, good old Ira.
Machiavellian ends justify the means type viewpoint.
Boy, is
honestly,
he
it's the best philosophy.
A fucking character. So, much like Ocean's 11, Ira is tasked with building a team. And no, I didn't write that joke in. That was on the spot.
I thought you were going to try to make some kind of Frank Ocean joke.
No. So he's tasked with building a team and finding a suitable site that they can do this basically sneaky, not so sneaky, everybody knows that the U.S. is going to be doing it project.
But, like, we're not going to tell the civilians.
Plausible deniability, apparently. Not so much.
I don't know what that is.
So, yeah, hey, there you go. You're on the right track. So he settles with an abandoned airfield in Maryland that was Airfield Dietrich. I may be saying it wrong. Dietrich. I'm saying Dietrich because that's what it looks like to me.
That you heard it here first.
Dietrich. Later known as Camp Dietrich. And if you know...
Or Fort.
Of a camp or Fort Dietrich, and you know where this is headed, fuck you for spoiling this for me. But if you don't, great.
D does not reflect PP Incorporated.
No, I do not. So, then Ira reaches out to our boy, Frank Olsen. Not Frank Ocean, Frank Olsen. The man, the myth, the not so good
legend. The chemist.
And he reaches out to another man named, another man by the name of Sidney Gottlieb. Gottlieb?
I say Gottlieb.
Gottlieb.
It's very German.
Ira very efficiently ran this operation, and he actually goes on to become the VP of Academic Affairs at the University of Wisconsin in 1948 because of his success in burning out people's eyeballs in Japan, I guess. Jesus Christ. I don't quite understand the promotion process in the 1940s.
Yeah.
It's a little odd.
Yeah, especially because it was a secret program.
Yeah.
So maybe he was promoted for something else?
Maybe this wasn't a promotion. Maybe it was we'll give you back that normal life that you so wanted.
Maybe it was a demotion.
We'll still watch everything. I mean, it's certainly a possibility. So, Sidney Gottlieb hung around Ira's radar for a few years after he was recruited. And he was mentored by Ira quite a bit. And he was actually... So, when the CIA was putting a few sneaky things together, as they usually do, they reached out to Ira and they said, hey, who's the man? And Ira actually referred them to Sidney to become a leading chemist and director of MK, just a project.
A couple
in the
projects.
CIA. Yeah, just a project in the CIA. No, it doesn't matter. We don't really talk about that MK bullshit on here.
Yeah, it's not provable. There's no documentation, so it didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So he Oh, God, I wasn't ready.
Now it's time for your favorite Monday morning game show, D's Dating Do's and Don'ts, where we find out if your concept of relationships is a tick too far on the misogynistic side. Welcome to the stage, AJ, a wannabe totalitarian from a very far-right Christian community. Let's get started. It's D's Dating Do's and Don'ts.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, AJ. Now, question number 1. Your 45-year-old coworker Sandra enters the office in a nice blouse and tight pencil skirt. Do you A, give her took us a smack and finger gun your way to the first coffee break, fuck off and keep your thoughts and eyes to yourself, or C, call your wife and tell her you just found a unicorn?
I'm not going to do anything.
Oh, sorry. Looks like you
B.
ran out of time. You were a little slow on your answer there. Maybe you'll get it next time on D's Dating Do's and Don'ts. So, we're back to Frank. During Frank's work with the U.S. bioweapons program, he actually worked alongside some Nazis.
No.
Who were recruited through Operation Paperclip. Tell me a little bit about that.
We do this every time you mention it. You point to me and say, tell me a little bit about that.
I know.
So I'm sure
I'm going to keep doing it.
our listeners know. But, basically the Russians were scooping up Nazi scientists, and the Americans were scooping up Nazi scientists. And they were basically competing to get the most Nazi scientists because they could scoop them up, take them to the U.S. or take them to the Soviet Union, and basically say, we don't know what you're talking about, Nuremberg trials.
Yeah.
And basically say, well, you're not going to get executed as long as you work for us. My favorite scientist who was scooped up during this event was a small, not well-known man called Werner von Braun, the father of atomic weapons. I am the destroyer of worlds. You know that guy.
I don't know if it's really a good stance to say you have a favorite in the Nuremberg trials.
No. A favorite of the Operation Paperclip. If I was going to do favorite of the Nuremberg trials, that would be the bitch of Buchenwald, 100%, just based on the name.
True. Yeah, that's a solid name.
Or
She
the
was
Beast,
impressive.
who was Maria Mendel.
Maria Mendel.
Oh, yeah. Just as bad as the bitch of Buchenwald.
Ooh.
Less skin harvesting, though.
Oh, lame.
Which is lame. But
Yeah,
it
not
basically
as cool.
kickstarted, like, a type of scientific revolution, because all these Nazi scientists came over from having basically unlimited money, unlimited test subjects, unlimited slave labor. And they got a lot of shit done. Like, a lot of our medical industry is based on the experiments that Joseph Mengele did.
Which is fucking terrible.
In the concentration camps. And a lot of that knowledge was able to come over. In fact, much like many events in the United States with scientists or governments or CIA agents, there was a mad scramble for the Nazi scientists to basically flush their research, flush their names away, and say, I was just a civilian, I don't know what was happening, and get that deniability, and spread that myth of the clean Wehrmacht. But I love it, they were basically going through, I should say, some American soldiers were going through a building, which I assume was either a college or a university or something like that, and one dude just stopped on the way running down the hall, like, searching, and he looked in the toilet, and the toilet had backed up from where somebody was flushing shit, like 10 minutes before, and it had a list of high-ranking Nazi scientists.
Oh my god.
So because they had the names, they started searching, and they scooped up a lot of people. So we get a lot of...
Everyone knows the only thing you put down a toilet is number
just shit.
1, number 2, and TP. That's it. You don't try to put down fucking A4 paper.
No, you
what are
eat,
you doing?
You eat A4 paper.
Yeah, or burn it.
Yeah. But yeah,
God,
that's
get
my
it
favorite
together.
thing there. They also found, I think it was in that event, they also found a shrunken head.
Uh,
A fresh one.
what?
Yeah. Yeah, there were a couple Nazis who were kind of obsessed with shrunken heads. So they tried to remake them.
Oh.
If you look up pictures of evidence from the Bitch of Buchenwald, actually,
Oh, here we
you
go.
will find a shrunken head of an inmate that they said was directly imported from Ecuador, but it is very obviously not an Ecuadorian. It's a white dude.
Oh! That's a tiny head.
Well, yeah, it's shrunken.
And it's on a plaque.
What?
Yeah, look at this shit.
I only know the evidence photos. Spin that computer around.
It's not an evidence photo, baby!
Oh, nice. That's solid work. Hey, look,
Impressive.
there's the bitch herself right there.
She looks happy.
Ilsa Koch.
She looks super happy about it.
Now, we talked about her on Sloppy Seconds
Yes,
for their
yes, we
Patreon.
did. But
Hey.
we are considering doing a little bit longer of an episode on her
Yeah.
and her friends.
And some of her friends.
And
Yeah.
some of her friends.
But yeah, like, we know the Soviets were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing it.
Yeah.
We also know that a lot of the experiments, even some of the ones that we're talking about today, were being done at the same time by the Soviets. In fact, that's why there was some competition in some of these between us and the Soviets. And I love it because it all comes down to the same base of Nazi science, which is honestly not something you want to base your entire healthcare system on. It just sucks because, I mean, they were able to do unethical experiments. So now we do know the upper limits of human survivability. Like,
Delightful.
super delightful.
Oh, so,
super fun.
So great.
You deserve this for putting me on the spot.
Hey, that's okay. But you did well. I appreciate that.
I don't even
wanted an
remember what B
extended-
was. Was that the right answer?
I don't know. You ran out of time.
Fuck.
So with this group,
Ira,
Frank-
Gottlieb, and Frank?
yeah, basically like the entire team that Ira put together, they finished creating aerosolized anthrax.
Oh, yeah.
Great stuff, right? You know,
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's the best thing to be aerosolized in sliced bread.
God. Put that on your fucking butter and eat it. So they moved Frank from the army to a civilian contract in 1944 because of the successes of this biological weapons program. And he starts work in what's called Operation Harness. And this is actually, I was really surprised when I learned about this one because AJ didn't know about it.
It's because
So-
I don't care about... Never mind, I'll finish that sentence later.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever want to finish that sentence. So Operation Harness was the testing of airborne toxic clouds on animals and studying their reactions and how that might apply to humans. Now, Frank's son, Eric, recalled seeing his dad totally distraught when he would come home from work during this time, just due to the...
I wonder why.
Yeah, I mean, Frank is hands-on with a lot of this stuff. It's not that he's kind of this behind-the-scenes guy, as we discovered through my research. Like, the further I got, the more it kind of surprised AJ that I was like, yeah, Frank headed that operation. And he's like, what?
Yeah, it's this kind of... These programs and operations that we're talking about, even today, it's hard to get information on it. A lot of it was destroyed, or it's still considered top secret. Like, the research that they were doing is still top secret. So it's really hard to find good sources that actually tie it together. Like, I can read an entire thing about this operation, and it doesn't even mention who
a lot
the head
of it,
is.
And it's still, a lot of it, unfortunately, considered conspiracy theories, even though...
There has
There's
been
a
freedom
lot
of
of
information
information to back it up.
requests and first-hand accounts and things like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, Frank himself was handling rooms of, like, monkeys and gassing all of them at once.
Oh, that sounds very German of him.
Oh yeah, he at one point he recalled walking to work and just like on a regular basis, you would punch in next to a pile of dead monkeys, more or less. Like they're
Clean,
just
very
shoveling
cleanliness.
out bodies at this point. Operation Harness was a tough one. I didn't want to go too in depth with it because killing animals is fucked up, man. Killing people, we'll
They
talk
probably
about that
deserve
shit.
it.
Yeah, that's a bad take.
Is it?
Bad take number 2, AJ. You're on the radar. I'm counting this season.
No.
So, Frank also worked on Operation Sea Spray, which sounds fun. It's when you say
Oh, yeah.
Operation Sea Spray
We
in
talked
France
about
and
this.
San Francisco, you're like, hell yeah, sign me up. How much are tickets?
What
Not so
episode
great.
did we talk about
I
that
have
on?
no
I did a
idea.
whole
Yeah.
bit on it because I'm on the wiki because I wanted to see what
Mm-hmm.
year because I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So Operation Sea Spray 1950. We definitely covered it and
Yeah, I
some
know
of the
you
other
talked
things.
about it.
I think it was on the episode
I think
U.S. being dicks or the government being dicks.
Yeah, I
or
think
something
it's
like
the one
that.
where you talk about.
I talk about basically unethical research that the
Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
United States did. Do you want me to talk about?
Yeah,
Sea Spray real
give
quick?
it a quick little blurb.
Basically, the Navy said, "Fuck you guys." No, they distributed an aerosolized spray version of some bacteria, including Bacillus globigii. Globigii. There we go.
Gabagoo.
Yeah, and all over San Francisco to test if San Francisco is vulnerable to a bioweapon attack.
Bad
Guess
news
what?
bears, yeah.
It was.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
There were, I think, 11 people who went into the hospital.
800,000 people were infected with this bacteria that
Yeah.
they dropped.
And it was considered to be harmless. Turns out it's not. 11 people were hospitalized. I think there was a theory that one person died, but they were like immunocompromised or something. Oh, yeah, and it caused a bunch of heart valve infections. I remember that.
Yeah, dude.
And it was like a dramatic increase.
Was it the Conqueror or St. George?
No, that was about downwinder syndrome.
Oh, yeah. I have no clue when you talked about
That's
it. But I
fine.
know you did.
That's fine. I definitely talked about it. So, just a totally ethical, peer-reviewed study. It's okay.
I'm still reading. through.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I have no
I have
idea.
no idea. I know we did, though.
Yeah, I know you've talked about it. Munchie Mondays? Nah, that was cannibalism.
We talked about cannibalism a lot in the second and third seasons. We should head back there.
I'm down. We'll touch on.
Yeah,
touch on
we'll
it
get
again.
there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll go a little bit more in depth with the Donner Party.
That's boring. I want mass
No,
cannibalism.
Okay, I mean, why not? So back to Frank.
Yeah, back to Frank. So he was involved in Operation Sea Spray?
He worked directly hands-on with Operation Sea Spray. He also tested different toxins at Fort Terry, which Fort Terry is one that the U.S. had more or less like a secret facility that they would play around with toxins there because they didn't want the toxins to get to the mainland. So they would just drop it off at Long Island, which is where Fort Terry was. So that's why everyone from Long Island is fucking just gross.
Ah, that makes sense.
And if you're from there, sorry, I don't know you. So I can't really base my decision off of you yet.
You can't. You're not discounting me.
Yeah, I don't hate you yet. I just don't know about you yet. What do you expect from me, right? Man, walk in here.
Yeah, no, that's Boston.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Let's see. So, yeah, he works at this toxins facility. Super, super great guy, I mean, the tough part about all of this is that Frank's got a heart of gold.
You wouldn't think so with all the gassing of
Yeah.
animals.
You
do you
really
think
would-
he really had the, I'm doing this for America and to save lives? Do you think he drank the patriotic Kool-Aid?
I think he did.
It was easy to do
Based
during
on what
World
I
War II.
read, especially with kind of how his son talks about him, which we'll get into his son and everything next
Later,
week.
yeah.
but I think that he had good intentions. I think that Frank's approach to everything was that in the grand scheme of things, this is helping the U.S. But in the grand scheme of things, it's really fucking bad for people, Frank. And you really shouldn't continue doing this. And the fact that, I would probably defend him more if he came out with the information. If Frank was a whistleblower. Spoiler alert, Frank wasn't. That's why we don't really have a lot of reliable information on these experiments. I don't know if you picked up on that yet or if you've read history. But yeah, I think that at the time, a lot of people had great intentions, but they didn't understand the repercussions for the shit that they were doing. And, and how bad it truly was. Like, you can't really defend yourself when you're fucking gas bombing San Francisco.
Yeah.
And saying, it's just a common cold. Like, nah, get the fuck out of here.
With live
live bacteria.
Like,
get out of here, dude. Like, you can come off as a good person, but I think deep down, you have to be a secretive fuck. You have to be sneaky.
You have to be okay with it. You have to be okay with that.
You've had to twist your moral compass in a certain direction. And anybody out there that thinks otherwise, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're finding ways of accidentally, I'm fucking air quoting over here, accidentally poisoning and harming innocent people, or even just fucking guilty people, if you're harming them in like really long drawn out ways that lead to their demise, you're not a good person.
Yeah, I would generally say in a shorter way, murder is bad.
Yeah.
And just because it's a test doesn't mean it's not murder. No.
As one of my favorite celebrities once said, you start out with the idea of war, of killing people, and to me, it's the immoral part of it. It doesn't make much difference how you kill them, AJ.
Oh.
Fuck you. A call back to you, Ira fucking Baldwin. I wonder if
I doubt it.
Alec Baldwin is related.
I doubt it.
No.
I mean, but maybe.
We won't stretch it too far. But yeah. So Frank, heart of gold, Frank, on his
heart of gold ish.
He's on his way up. I mean, he's been in some secret operations. This guy is making his way through the ranks. Now, after World War II, the U.S. really starts to worry about Russian operatives getting into the CIA. Especially because, I mean, we're at the very, very start of the Cold War. Am I wrong? Post World War II, there's a little bit of a gap, but I still feel that
it's basically immediately.
Yeah.
I'm one who sees the Cold War as a beginning during World War II.
Yeah.
Because while we were allies with Russia, we already had anti-communism sentiment, and we were directly competing on how many Nazis we could pick up.
Yeah.
Like there was already the competition well before the end of World War II.
So
it really didn't take off for 4 or 5 years. But even then,
I was going to say, it's like 1950, 1949 when it really fucking, like, that's kind of like the very, like, start, like the stamp of, boom, Cold War, correct?
Yeah, but things were already happening, like the splitting up of Berlin, disagreements on how to handle Germany after the war. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was getting spicy on the Western Front. So, as I said, the U.S. is starting to worry that in amongst a lot of these secret operations that the U.S. is doing, which are mainly being led by the CIA, surprise, surprise, at Camp Dietrich, they were running all these operations kind of under the guise of, like, Dietrich, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which Dietrich itself was just a fucking, like, closed doors. You don't ask questions.
Yeah, high security clearance.
High security clearances. It was just a vault of dangerous secret operations that really weren't released until
If at
pretty
all.
much the Rockefeller Agreement in the 70s. But in Camp or Fort Detrick, the U.S. decides that they're going to start a new special ops division. So now within Camp Detrick, you've got like the basement within the basement. And this special ops division.
The elevator doesn't even go there.
Yeah, you've got to climb like a fucking ladder that's also somehow a fireman pole.
And it's over a pool of sharks with lasers on
And if you're not wearing the right weight distribution, you're not going to be able to make the little curve at the end that goes up and then back down to really access the lower floors of Fort Detrick.
Yeah, and then you have to go down a twirly slide, and it's really scary.
Yeah, so be careful. I hope you brought your barf bags. So they actually referred to it as Detrick within Detrick. Those that were in it, I guess. I guess that's not really confirmed. But it's basically, like I said, it's an underground, even more secret testing center. And our boy Frank, I fucking mistyped here. So my notes say Frank became the chef of this special ops division months later.
Wow, he really got a demotion. Chief chemist, chef.
No. That's where he was keeping the KFC secret ingredient, baby.
Yeah, it's anthrax. It's aerosolized anthrax.
So
we cracked it.
Put it on everything. Dial this man up for fucking McDonald's. So Frank becomes the chief of this special ops division months after it starts. And slowly his position in the army, in the chemical division, kind of starts to shift a little bit more. And eventually he just becomes a CIA employee, right? What we all love.
Yeah, you just slide right into it.
Yeah. So he was then put onto Project Artichoke. And I think we touched a little bit on Project Artichoke, but if you don't know, it was an interrogation project that involved more or less mind control tactics, ways of deleting somebody's memory through drugs, ways of like creating hypnosis with people. Like it's more or less, it's a really broad term, but like interrogation tactics and just fucking with people's brains to the nth degree. Their thesis was, can we get control of an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will and even against fundamental laws of nature, such as self-preservation? So, really ethical. Honestly.
Yeah, really. I also read that quote. I didn't put it in my notes, though.
Oh, okay.
You missed the fun part where the project that came before Artichoke was Bluebird.
Yeah, I forgot that.
That's okay.
But, I mean, it was like just before.
Yeah,
it really
it more turned into Artichoke.
Yeah.
One of their main goals was to see if they could involuntarily force somebody to commit an assassination. They were like, can we Manchurian candidate somebody? Can we make somebody we hypnotize them and they go and murder Khrushchev? You know, whatever the fuck. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't around yet, but you know what I mean. They also looked into like forced morphine addiction and then withdrawal, just like that cold turkey, to see what the effects were. Yeah, hypnosis, LSD, a couple other drugs. You know, you get the cocaines, you get the marijuanas, and then they dabbled into some viral warfare for some reason.
And I don't know if you wanted to go into it, but the reason why a lot of this kind of like took off, why the U.S. started looking into it.
Because the Soviets were doing it?
Yeah, it's kind of what we talked about before we even started recording about the like Korean War and a lot of POWs.
Oh, yeah. POWs were coming back saying, oh, we Americans committed war crimes and we're using germ agents and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then the U.S. says, no, we're not. They're obviously brainwashed.
Yeah.
And now we need to learn how to brainwash because it's obvious the Soviets taught the Koreans how to brainwash.
And these guys they were prisoners of war, they would come back and they would just go through like they would disappear more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And they would go through hours and hours daily of debriefing, and years later they'd come out and be like, "Oh yeah, we were actually brainwashed by Chinese operatives that captured us." That pulled bullshit secrets out that we were just kind of making up. But
they convinced us we were doing chemical warfare.
Yeah, exactly. And it was one of those things where, like, I feel like at the time you really had to have had your head in the sand to not see what the fuck was going on.
Well,
but,
you know, patriotism and the Red Scare.
That's a good point.
At the time period, that propaganda.
I always forget how hefty
all you gotta
the Red
say
Scare was.
is, "Oh, communists learned brainwashing, and now you have the fear that you're not even safe in your own mind."
So, like AJ said, that kind of turns into or leads into Project Bluebird.
No, other way around.
Oh, Bluebird leads to that.
To Artichoke.
No. I was saying the POWs kind of led to research into Bluebird, and then Bluebird kind of phases. And it's interesting with a lot of these, and we'll kind of learn about it next week too, that a lot of these operations just fade into one another.
Yeah.
Really.
They very much merge.
It's interesting because I feel like they were going on before they were truly declared an operation.
They were usually, it's my theory. This is totally my theory. They weren't really declared an operation until somebody got some results. They got some kind of data.
Something popped up.
And then they're like, "Oh wait, let's pursue this specific thing.
Now
let's do it.
Press a gas pedal on this one."
So I've got one more thing about Artichoke.
Yeah, go for it.
I
have a couple things as well.
One is, from what I can read and what is out there, which isn't a lot, is they would mostly target other agents, other CIA agents, and soldiers. And a lot of times it wasn't with their knowledge. They would study on people.
Yeah, pull a sneaky on.
And then they'd you're just a soldier somewhere, and then you get kidnapped and you're being hypnotized, and you think, who are these people? Like, this is the enemy. Turns out it's the CIA. Also, the record from what I could find was they continuously drugged one CIA agent for 77 days straight.
Oof.
But I wasn't able to find anything about their condition.
Yeah.
If they were, how long they were unconscious and in a coma for that,
God damn, dude.
But 77 days.
I was going to say, there were...
Because you found one.
There was one that they had said they drugged them continuously. And I mean, this isn't just oh, hey, roofies.
No, this is
hey, we're dosing
acid.
You with LSD over and over
cocaine.
and over all day for 56 days.
Until you get into a coma.
Yeah, exactly. Basically to see how long the human body can take it.
Mm-hmm.
The interrogations that they were doing could be, in some cases, so intense that they were borderline torture and hypnosis.
No, I would say 100% torture.
Yeah, well, true. So torture and hypnosis, and I mean, this led to mental breaks that would lead to death in most of these situations, if not all. Which, imagine mentally breaking down so bad that you fucking your brain shuts off.
Yeah, you're just fucking dead.
Yeah. I mean, they're forcing more or less brain aneurysms in these people with interrogation and torture. It's what the fuck?
Yeah, they're breaking people.
So kind of not necessarily switching gears, but originally thought to be kind of a large outbreak in France. There was this small town that had a big outbreak of food poisoning from what they all considered bad bread.
Ergot, specifically.
Yeah, there were people getting headaches, kind of hallucinating. They were getting sick. 250 people end up in hospice.
Hospice?
250 people end up in they need to go to the hospital.
Hospital, okay.
Yeah.
Hospice is end of life care.
Okay, well.
Hospital.
Yeah, they're going in and getting treated for all this. Sorry, I typed it wrong.
You're good.
They're going into getting treated. 50 people end up in asylums.
That's a solid ratio.
Yeah. 7 people end up dead. And they end up tracking all of this back to a flour distributor who's charged for involuntary manslaughter for selling fungus flour, more or less, ergot. Later it comes out that the CIA had set things up to drug the entire village with LSD in their water supply.
Mm-hmm. They
Like-
spiked the town's water supply.
Just went ham. And I mean...
Also, in a foreign
yeah,
country.
in a totally foreign
an
country.
allied
yeah.
country.
An allied
Like-
country. This is like early 1950s, late 1940s.
Yeah, I think it was 1950,
I think so, yeah.
if I remember right.
But yeah, I know you had talked about a doctor.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was there.
I really need to find it. It was a book or a memoir or something about a doctor who was in the town who was there when the first patient came in. And he was thinking, oh, this is some weird food poisoning. They're talking nonsense. They must be really delirious. So they start treating him. And then another patient comes in, same thing. And then another, and then another. And he's trying to figure out, oh, maybe they all ate the same thing. So he figured, okay, what did you guys all eat? The most recent thing was bread from that flour distributor. So I think that's where it came from. A lot of it was his documenting. And then I think it was like 5 or 10 people are suffering in his clinic, and he starts seeing things. And
Surprise,
he
surprise.
starts tripping. And he's already called other doctors. He's already called out as much as you can in a small town in France to try to get help because it was bad. And yeah, he fucking went insane.
Just bad news bears,
Yeah.
man. So, Operation Artichoke totally fucked up.
No.
Yeah.
It was for America.
Yeah, right. So Frank had led this division for about 8 months, until 1953. Now that was the Special Ops division that he was running. He steps down after about 8 months, and he says it's starting to aggravate his ulcers, which fuck, I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
And so he goes with his family on vacation to the UK. They visit like France, Germany, a couple different spots in the 50s. Just getting out of the country, clearing his head, getting away from work, getting away from, doing some secret evil shit to innocent people. And this is still at the same time as the CIA is like, hey, the Soviets are getting to fucking everybody. So he comes back and he's just debriefed for like days. Like they're asking everybody he ran into where he went, like just an entire breakdown of what he did. And he discovers in these debriefings that the U.S. had used biological and germ warfare during the Korean War. In like a very like stamp-proved fashion. He was just like, fuck, like connects all the dots.
Something
He's
that
like, oh my
still
God.
America denies to this day.
So Frank puts it all together, and he just shuts down because he knows that he's responsible.
Yeah, he's
Like,
been
He's been
doing the
working on it.
studies.
He's just been told, hey, these are studies. This is this. And he's like,
then they turn around and utilize the
fuck,
results.
Yeah. So while he was in the UK, he had to more or less visit like a psychiatrist while he was out there, just kind of to determine if he's being, injected with secret Soviet juice.
Yeah.
Like he had to check in with this psychiatrist. And while he was out there, before he even gets back, Frank is deemed a security threat.
Fair enough.
So when he came back, they already knew that they're already under the impression this guy's trouble. He's trying to step away from his position in the CIA, his lead position in the CIA. And this psychiatrist even recommended to the CIA, this man's access should be cut down to a bare minimum. Like this dude he's
breaking.
Yeah, he's about to crack. So, Frank steps down. They approve it, but because of his involvement, he's still consulting and he's still working alongside everything.
Yeah, because you can't
you can't
cut somebody with that level of access off.
Yeah.
You have to keep them involved, invested, so that you can keep an eye on them.
So his kids even pointed out how stressed out and upset he still seemed to be during this time. He stepped away from his lead position and he's still totally fucked up, which I wonder why.
Yeah.
And Frank is actually invited in November 1953 to a CIA executive retreat.
You know what? That's a great idea. De-stress, relax.
Yeah. I mean,
you get to go away. Yeah, it's like a work event, but you still get to go and relax, right?
Especially because, I'm sure that Frank wasn't the only one that was struggling. He very well could have been.
No,
but I'm sure a lot of them were kind of like, yeah,
there can't be that many
things are getting
sociopaths,
pretty
right?
tough. Yeah. So the attendees of this executive retreat include Frank Olsen's supervisor, Lieutenant Colonel Vincent Ruett. He was the head of the Special Operations Division. John L. Schwab, who had founded the division. 4 members of Fort Detrick's Special Ops Division. Gerald Yonitz, a Special Ops scientist. And there were a handful of CIA participants that were there, too. Sidney Gottlieb, who we had talked about earlier. Robert Lashbrook, who was Gottlieb's deputy, kind of his right-hand man. A man by the name of A. Hughes, and Henry Bortner, both working for the CIA, and a man by the name of Morgan Hall.
Morgan Hall.
Yeah.
I got some notes here about him, because interestingly enough, he kind of showed up in my research a little bit. So he was a very interesting fellow. Morgan Hall was part of the CIA, from what we could tell. Not necessarily an agent, but he definitely had some jobs with them. He was in the Army. He was a captain. He was involved in the OSS during World War II. And, let's see. Those are things I was able to for sure figure out. But apparently he did some, freelance contractor work. He was kind of all over the place.
Kind of got his toes in everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't at all be surprised if he had a hand in Operation Artichoke.
Or a toe. He's dipping his little tootsies around.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a field agent for some of these in the past, but there's no documentation to actually prove that. Really interesting guy. Hard to find information on. Morgan Hall.
So, it said Morgan passes Frank a drink, and they all kind of cheers. They start their meeting and kind of more or less just go over, the last year. They're like, hey, look, quick little clarification on everything with the CIA. Obviously, this isn't a total retreat, but
yeah,
we got to discuss at some point.
It makes it tax deductible if you talk about business during your drinks.
So throughout the meeting, Frank kind of gets more and more just fucky. His mind's getting a little, his mind's trailing a little, feeling funky. And as the meeting goes on, as the day goes on, well, not the day, kind of as it fades into the evening, Frank discovers that he's experiencing the effects of LSD. So, AJ, you have our Patreons pulled up.
Yes, so I've got Abby, AJ's third nut, Lindo, D's nuts.
Not me.
NSA isn't real, which is very fitting. Nordic Thunder, Toddle Waddle, Dark Runner, Haley, and Casey McFacey.
Thank
you guys so much. You pay for our hosting.
Yeah, you
keep the lights on. I like saying that because it's pretty
true,
accurate.
But yeah,
what else do I normally say?
No, I mean,
I think that's about
that's
it.
the extent. Yeah, I mean,
check us out.
We really appreciate it. Find us on Instagram and Twitter at PointSoPressure with any suggestions, show ideas, feedback of the episode. I know this one's been a little chaotic and all over, but give it a couple listens.
Yeah, don't worry.
We'll tie it up.
It'll be
next
worse
week.
next week.
Yeah.
More convoluted.
Yeah. So we'll catch you fuckers next week. See you later.
Oh no, where's the button?